In this video, we're going to explore one of the easiest and most appealing residency options in South America, Uruguay's Permanent Residency Program. This residency is perfect if you've got some passive income and a dream of a laid-back life in a place dubbed the Switzerland of South America. So whether you're plotting a plan B, a retirement escape, or just a fresh start, stick around. We're going to break down what this visa is, the Uruguay Permanent Residency Program, who it's for, how to get it, and why Uruguay might be your next move. So let's dive in. So what is this Uruguay PR all about? It's a straightforward path for foreigners to live in Uruguay indefinitely, and no investment is required. Just proof that you can support yourself. The most popular route is the independent means option, where you show a steady passive income from outside Uruguay like rent, dividends, or a pension. Unlike golden visas that demand big bucks up front, this one's all about financial independence. You get a temporary ID right away, and within 6 to 12 months, you're a permanent resident that's free to live, work, or just sip mate by the Rio de la Plata. It's not temporary, you're in it for the long haul from day one, with a path to citizenship in as little as 3 years. And Uruguay is all about stability, safety, and simplicity, making this a gem for expats. So who's this visa for? If you've got the income rolling in without having to clock a 9 to 5, this could be your sweet spot. So picture retirees with the pension of say $1,500 a month from Social Security, or investors with rental properties back home spitting out cash. It's also great for younger folks who have built passive income streams like online business owners or stock traders who want to live somewhere affordable and calm. Uruguay can be relatively permissible when it comes to different types of passive income. You don't need to be rich, just reliable. Uruguay doesn't care about your age or your job title, as long as you have at least $1,500 per month coming in, and ideally more if you're bringing a family. The vibe is the freedom to enjoy life in a country that's safe, welcoming, and doesn't nickel and dime you with red tape. So let's go into a bit more details about the financial requirements. The official minimum is $1,500 per month in passive income. Again, that could be rent, investments, annuities, bonds, certificates of deposit, things like that. This is about 60,000 Uruguayan pesos in 2025, though consulates might nudge you towards $2,000 per month to cover real costs, especially in cities like Montevideo. For a family, at around $500 to $700 per dependent, so spouse, kids, whoever's tagging along. You'll need to show that this income is steady, which can be proven with bank statements, rental contracts, or pension letters verified by a notary or an accountant. So no lump sums or savings alone is enough. They really want to see recurring cash flow. The good news is that $1,500 to $2,000 a month stretches pretty far here. Depending where you go, rent can be $400 to $800 a month. A meal out can be $10. Groceries are pretty cheap compared to the US. Inflation is tame compared to neighbors, and the peso is stable-ish, right? Obviously, you don't come to Uruguay because it's the cheapest country in Latin America, but it has a pretty good ratio of cost of living to low taxes to safety. There's a good balance here. So how do you snag this residency? Well, it's refreshingly simple. Uruguay is not out to drown you in paperwork. You can start by entering as a tourist. Most folks from the US, Canada, the EU, or Latin America get 90 days visa free. Then you're going to apply in country in Montevideo at the National Directorate of Migration, Migraciones. Okay. And working with My Latin Life, we can help by making an appointment for you ahead of time before you arrive, help you prepare your documents and everything. Probably a good point for me to mention that My Latin Life is a full-scale immigration consultancy. We can help you get residency in Uruguay as well as any other country in Latin America. So there's going to be a link in the description if you'd like to book a call with us, become our client. We can look at your holistic situation, talk about Uruguay and also other countries in Latin America, put a plan together, and ultimately hold your hand every step of the way to get this Uruguay residency in your hands. Back to what you're going to need for this residency. So for Uruguay, you're going to need a passport. Obviously, that's good for 6+ months. You're going to need the proof of income. So think maybe 3+ months of statements or contracts. You'll need your birth certificate, apostilled from your home country and translated to Spanish by Uruguayan translator. You'll need a clean criminal record check from the past 5 years, also apostilled. You'll need a health check done in Uruguay. And proof of vaccinations, apparently, which is a must since 2018. I know that might be a sticking point for people. But again, book a call with us. We can talk about the vaccination thing. If you've got a spouse or kids, then of course we'll need their birth certificates as well, the marriage certificate, apostille too. And again, permanent residency status will hit within 6 to 12 months. But in the meantime, you will get a temporary cédula, which is Uruguay's ID card within days. So you'll come to Uruguay, you'll apply, you'll get a temporary cédula, which allows you to basically keep living in Uruguay. And then the permanent status will come in 6 to 12 months. So, what is life like as a resident? Well, you're in legally, permanently, and with your cédula, you can open a bank account. And Uruguay's got a rock-solid system with names like Banco República or Itaú. Itaú exists also in Paraguay and Brazil, by the way. Once you have that temp ID, you can rent or buy a place. You can work locally if you want. You can start a cafe, teach English, whatever you want to do. Unlike some visas that lock you out of jobs. So that's definitely a plus for Uruguay. Healthcare is a win as well. The public ASSE covers basics for free. Or you can get a private plan for $50 to $100 a month for world-class stuff. For travel, you can pop around the Mercosur with direct flights to Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, easy peasy. And your residency is a stepping stone to a passport with Schengen access later on. There's even a word that Uruguay might get visa-free to the US in the future, or what's it called? ESTA. Is it ESTA? But it might get the same status that Chile has as well in the future because the tourist visa acceptance rate is so high for Uruguayans. The cost of living is relatively low for Americans. You can get $1 coffees, $8 steaks, and the dollar is strong here, especially if you swap cash informally. Now let's talk about taxes. So let's get real. Uruguay has a really killer perk. You get an 11-year tax holiday on foreign income. If you spend over 183 days a year here and you're a tax resident, you are tax-free for over a decade. And then after that, it's 12% on interest and dividends, nothing on pensions or capital gains. And if you stay under 183 days, you're not taxed locally at all. Just watch your home country's rules. And by the way, there are ways to become a Uruguayan tax resident without spending 183 days. Book a call and we can talk about that stuff in more detail. But Uruguay's pretty good about things from a tax perspective. I think it's fair to say. A little bit more complicated than Paraguay, but not bad as far as South America and as far as countries with good infrastructure goes. There's no wealth tax. There's no exit tax. It's kind of like Paraguay or Panama vibes in that sense. If you want to opt out of the 11-year tax holiday, there's also a way where you can pay 7% flat tax on foreign income forever. So it's your call. It's kind of like a tax haven light. Perfect if you're dodging bigger bills elsewhere. So again, 11-year zero tax, and then after the 11 years, whatever the normal tax rate is, or you can opt for 7% tax on foreign income for life. So you do the math, whichever one makes more sense for your situation. Now let's talk about the long game. Let's talk about citizenship, which honestly is in reach. Once you're a permanent resident, you live here at least 3 years if married or 5 years if single. After that, you can apply for an Uruguayan passport. You'll need to spend at least 6 months a year in country to qualify, proving ties like a lease or bills. You'll also need to pass a basic Spanish test. It's just conversational, it's pretty doable, and a quick citizenship interview about Uruguay's history. Approvals obviously are not guaranteed, but it's rare to get denied if you followed the rules. And the passport is top tier. You get visa-free to 153 countries, including the Schengen zone, the UK, most of South America. Like I said, the US might be coming online soon. And dual citizenship is cool too. No renouncing is required. Meaning if you're coming from the US or somewhere else, you do not need to renounce your citizenship to become Uruguayan. You'll simply be a dual citizen with multiple passports. So now let's talk about some of the pros and cons of Uruguay. So let's break it down a little bit. So the pros are it's a relatively fast track where you get temporary status right away, which is huge for people that just want to stay, they want to chill, and 6 to 12 months to PR status, which is pretty quick as far as permanent residencies go around the world. It's a low bar as well. $1,500 a month is doable for many. The tax holiday is unreal. 11 years free on foreign income. And citizenship in 3 years is among the fastest in the Americas. Argentina, Peru, and the Dominican are 2 years. Uruguay is 3 years. And the 3 years is very fast, honestly. It's also a safe, stable country. One of the lowest crime rates in Latin America, solid democracy, right? So it really has a lot of things going for it. The cons of this residency is probably the physical presence, where you have to do 6 months a year for the citizenship. Also, waiting 6 to 12 months for the PR is a little bit annoying. Like it does take, in some senses, longer to process than other residency programs. If you really want PR fast, we could get you PR in Paraguay much faster, for example. But still, this is on the quicker end of things. So there's that. And then the fact that you do have to do a Spanish test for citizenship, some might see that as a negative. Whereas, say, in Argentina, there's actually no Spanish test. But honestly, I don't think it's that hard. The Uruguay test is going to be a lot easier than the Peru test or the Colombia test or the Mexico test, for example. Okay? And then the other big con is just this is not really a paper residency. Uruguay wants you here, at least part-time. We could probably make another video going into more detail about how Uruguay could potentially work as a paper residency if you invest 6-figure sums of money, where it can be your tax residency with as little as something like 60 days in the country per year. But Uruguay is never going to be a full paper residency. This really works more for people that actually want to spend time here. So ultimately, who is Uruguay permanent residency for? Well, if you've got $1,500 to $2,000 a month in passive income and you want a stable, sunny home base, this is gold. Retirees fleeing cold winters. I mean, this is a good spot. You could also be a semi-retiree or remote worker and pair your residency here with freelancing or making money online, and you're totally allowed to do that with Uruguay residency. It's a great country for families as well. School is free, healthcare is solid, and $2,500 a month gets you pretty far. So it's not really a country for the jet setters who never stay put. Uruguay wants residents, not fly-by-nighters. But if you're down to set up home base and you're down to, you can imagine yourself sipping wine in Colonia or surfing in Rocha, all legally, low stress, low tax, Uruguay might be for you. Here are some tips to ace it. So prep early, get your birth certificates, your police records apostilled before you leave home, because delays would suck. Hire a local fixer. Having a fixer really cuts through the bureaucracy like a machete. It really helps a lot. This is not something that you want to go through alone. Also, land in Montevideo and plan on staying in Montevideo at least for the first month or so. Most of the appointments are going to have to take place in Montevideo, and it's really kind of the expat central of the country as well, as you can imagine. But most of the paperwork takes place in Montevideo, so if you decide to go elsewhere, you might find yourself coming back to Montevideo quite often, especially in the beginning. So we often recommend to just hang out in Montevideo, get an Airbnb for like the first month, and then once everything's processed, then you can move on to other parts of the country. Of course, learning basic Spanish will help you a lot. And some people even, we recommend visiting first. You should have 90 days as a tourist to let you test out the vibe. You can even extend that to 180 days as a tourist in certain conditions. But since this isn't really a paper residency and it's something that you're going to have to spend time, we always recommend a recon mission as well. Again, banking is solid here as well. So you can bank locally. You can wire that money to an Uruguayan account, and that helps prove some intent. So why Uruguay? Well, in a lot of ways, it's the total package. It's one of the safest countries, if not the safest country in South America. It's stable. The democracy's rock solid. There's no coups going on here. It's dollar friendly. US cash works and banks love it. It's a very mild climate. There's no hurricanes, just breezy summers and cool winters. The healthcare is top notch and cheap. A checkup might cost you $20. The education is free all the way through university if you've got kids. There's beaches, there's beef, there's steak, and a slower pace, where maybe $1,500 a month here feels like $3,000 a month elsewhere. And this residency is your key to a life that's chill, legal, low tax, and future-proof. So that's Uruguay's permanent residency in a nutshell. Easy, affordable, and a gateway to a badass passport. If you're tempted, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below in the comments on YouTube. Have you been to Uruguay? We'd love to hear your anecdotes. If this lit a spark, hit the like, subscribe, ring that bell for more residency hacks, and also book a call with us if you'd like to become our client and put Uruguay residency or any other residency in your hands as quickly as possible. Hasta pronto. Hasta luego, amigos. And we'll see you in the next video.